This week we begin Parshas Bereshis. It's the first Parsha of the Torah. It's the beginning of the new year, 5773, since the creation of the world. And it talks about the creation of man. The part I would like to deal with is the aspect of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It starts after man is created. The Chumash says that God created the Garden of Eden, and in the middle of it was the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And God tells Adam, the first man, Adam literally means man, not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, Eitz Hadas, literally the tree of knowledge. By implication, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to eat from the tree of life. But what is the tree of good and evil? It's important because, so to speak, this whole epoch of man, from his creation until the current day, until the days of the Mashiach, we are living under the domination of the tree of Das. The aspect of the two trees is like the aspect of the brain and the heart. The brain, the intellect, is what makes us godly. The heart contains our free will, which is what makes us human. God tells Adam that on the days that he eats from the Eitz Hadas, that he will die a death. And what happens is he doesn't precisely die on that day, but what you have is an opening of the eyes in the death of innocence. After man was created and woman, the Chumash says they were arum, naked, and they didn't know it. After they eat from the tree of knowledge, then they make garments to cover themselves. And they do it because they are embarrassed by their nakedness. The question is, why should the organs of procreation be considered shameful? And you can draw a comparison to the opening sentences of Bereshis, where it says that darkness was on the face of the depth, and that the world was tohu vavohu, literally desolate and chaotic. When you get a new creation, you've got ignorance, and you've got a certain amount of evil in the form of bad decisions. When you're talking about evil, you have sins of omission and sins of commission. That's the tohu vavohu. If you have a desolation, you have nothing, a desert. Okay, you have land, but nothing's been done with it. If you have chaos, say a jungle, the land is in use, but it's in the wrong use. That's the aspect of sins of commission. That's the aspect of vohu. And when you have a little baby, they will not know things, and at times they will be neglectful. At times they will do bad things, but generally it's in the realm of innocence. They don't really know that they're doing good or evil. But at some point, their eyes open up and then they really do know the abstract terms of good and evil. Now, it is much better to deal with knowing good and evil and exercise of free will after a person knows what life is about, because the meanderings and walks on the wild side will not be as severe. If a person is sensitive to pain and sensitive to death, they will steer clear of it. The idea is that a person doesn't have to fall off of a high wall. They can just look down and see how hazardous it is if they really do have a high premium on life. But nevertheless, the idea of evil has a place. When you're talking about little children, they will at times say things that they really shouldn't say because they didn't know they were doing anything bad, and they will cause a degree of embarrassment. You have the concept of, or the expression, the naked truth, which means that there are certain truths that are hard to deal with. As a result, we have to prepare for people for them, and we will often use euphemisms. The idea of covering up the truth is an aspect of distancing a person from the truth. It's an aspect of evil. However, here is a case where evil has a legitimate place. The idea of the Yetzer Hara is the idea of an onion skin. An onion skin is extremely thin, and it protects the fruit that is much larger. The idea is that, so to speak, our fingernails, which are very thin, protect us. Nevertheless, they don't have any feeling to them. They're not as sensitive and as useful as skin itself. This is what our ideal relationship with evil should be. The comparison or the choice that we always reject. Okay? The problem you have, though, with the eating of the tree of knowledge is that once a person's eyes are open, they really can't go back to their former innocence. Now they know what the situation is, and they basically have to live with it and deal with it. Okay, so that is the period in which we are in. We are getting to know what is good and what is evil. In the Gemara in Masechet Sukkos, I think it's around Daf Nun Beis, it gives 7 names for the Yetzer Hara. First one being Ra, bad. The second one is Aron, uncircumcised. It's the idea of extremes, either not feeling at all or feeling very slightly, or being extremely sensitive. It's also the idea of primitivism. The third one is Tameh, dirty, defiled. The fourth one is hate. There's certain things we should hate, but it should not really be the characteristic that we like. I'll deal with that later. The next one is Evan, it's stone. There's various proofs from the prophets and the Tanakh that a person being hard-hearted is considered evil, an aspect of it. Mikshal is a hazard, something that you stumble over. The last one is Sophony, surreptitious, sneaky. the thing that's in the dark that you don't see, but it's doing bad things. The concept of the Torah is that the Torah is good and it's a spice. It says, Chazal says that Hashem created the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and He created the Torah to be a tavlin for it, a spice for it. The idea is that you have certain foods that may not be particularly tasty, but if you put the right spices in them, they become very tasty. And this is the aspect of conversion of evil to good, that there are going to be times when we have to be hard, and there are going to be times when we have to be surreptitious, but nevertheless it is in the service of good. Man's mission in this period, until the coming of the Mashiach, is to know what is good and what is evil, and in the end to make this rectification of the conversion of evil to good.